You already met Patty. So this is third sessions for this month. Patty has over 25 years of experience doing marketing and has been online space since 1998. Can you believe that? Where she developed an e-commerce program for the gourmet gift company into a multi-million dollar business. She has marketing coachings and full services client and business to consumer, business to business, and even business to government sectors across many industries. Patty enjoys speaking on various marketing topics to help business owners understand the importance of marketing and their brand online and offline. Patty also served as a marketing advisor in Los Angeles area Chambers of Commerce, Women's Business Centers, BizFed Institute's Advocacy Academy. And please, everybody, help me welcome Patty Ross.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. So let's go here. I'm going to start my sharing the screen here. And again, you're welcome to share in the chat where you're from, your business type, and also share. We'll talk about networking later when we talk about LinkedIn, but definitely share your business information. You never know who's in the room that might want to do business with you or collaborate or connect in some way. Share resources. So let me get to my presentation there. I don't know why they took that green away from the share. It's harder to find it now. There we go. Okay, so let's get the slideshow going on. All right. There we go. Everybody see the social media essentials for business, right? Look good? Yes, yes. Somebody say yes. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So, and also too, just a quick housekeeping. We do have both Q&A and chat, so make sure you pull them both up. The Q&A is usually hidden in the more section on your Zoom bar. But make sure if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A, any comments, networking, everything else, drop into the chat. I'll answer the questions as I go along, and any towards the end of the presentation, I'll finish off questions from there. So we'll do that. So it looks good. All right. Okay, so right on to the world of marketing and advertising, right? Where do we go to spend our time and money for our business, marketing and advertising? Of course, today we're talking about one of the planets on here, social media, but all right, where do we go? Traditional, digital, right? We have TV, radio, print ads, billboards, PR, direct mail, promotional products are part of networking mix, right? And then the digital side, right? We've had websites for quite a few decades now. Social media is over 25 years. Just as I mean, I've been doing marketing longer, but it's been longer than 25 years. Email marketing a little bit longer than Constant Contact started in 1995, so before I even started with the gift basket company. Search engine optimization, now I need to update that planet to include GEO, generative engine optimization with AI. Blogging, right? Text and Wi-Fi marketing, social media influencers, affiliate marketing. I did that with that gift basket company Swan mentioned back in 1998. So that's been around for quite a few years as well. So, right, where do you go, right, to spend your time and money? So that's why you're here. We're going to talk about at least social media today on the planets. But I always say before you go any further, know exactly where you need to go when it comes to your marketing. Just like if you're going to hop on the train or the bus in your local area and say you have to go downtown, you're not just going to hop on blindly and then hope for the best, right? You're going to look at the right or train schedule and number and get on the right one. So you're not wasting any time or money riding around town hoping you get to your destination. Same with marketing, right? So this is from my marketing plan 101 class. I always say if you haven't done this, have a marketing plan, even a business plan, get that in place. Even if you've been in business and you don't have one, get it in place. Right. Today we're going to be talking about channels, number 5, but also look back to steps 1 through 4 and 6 and 7. So if you haven't set goals for your business, definitely set what your business and your marketing goals. Number 2, your most important part of your marketing plan, your business, is knowing who your customers are. Right. If you don't have that dialed in, the rest of your marketing plan is not going to make sense. Right. And today we're going to talk about who's hanging out on which channels. This isn't a how to post on Instagram class, or this would be why should you be posting on Instagram, because you know where your customers are hanging out. So that's what today's focusing on the social media side of things. But most importantly, you got to know who they are, and then if you know who they are, you know where they're hanging out, right? Which you'll learn today. Doing the analysis for your business with SWOT analysis, knowing your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, your competitor analysis, your unique selling proposition against your competitors. Why should people buy from you rather than people who are doing the same thing, right? You need to know why you stand out and why you're better than them, right? And then your story, your branding, your messaging, your visuals, does that make sense to your ideal customers once you have number two on lock, right? As they say. Tactical plan, knowing how you're going to execute your marketing, who's going to do it, what tools, what processes, procedures, budgets, etc. that you need to do to get it all done, right? And then knowing how to look under the hood and see what's working or not. So knowing how to measure and optimize. So this is full marketing plan. Again, today we're just talking the channels part of it, but if you haven't yet set a marketing plan up, check out my class. It's on YouTube channel. I think it's some, I don't know if we've done it yet. I'm trying to remember if we've done it in this series or not, or it's coming up. But definitely check out. There's a recording somewhere out there. You can watch the class. So that's the marketing plan strategy circle. Now we'll talk about social media. I love Seth. Seth has written a few books on marketing. I would call him really one of the marketing gurus out there. I don't put myself in that category, but I love what he said. Build it and they will come. Only works in the movies, right? Was that Field of Dreams? Social media is a build it, nurture it, engage them, and they may come and stay, right? So it's not a build it, they will come, and suddenly you're going to be flooded with followers and people looking at your social media. So it does take time to build that out. All right, so these are my top 10 marketing, social media marketing mistakes not to make, right? So if you're already making some of these, we'll hopefully stop it. If you're not, we won't go there. But number one, I already said having a plan in place, knowing where to focus first, right? Not being consistent. So marketing is all about consistency. It's not, one and done. It's marketing all the time to spread the word out there about what you do and not being shy about spreading the word. Okay. We're not annoying our customers. I always hear this more with email marketing. We're not annoying our customers by doing marketing or sending out emails or whatever it is. We're just promoting our business, right? And then not being clear about the short-term and long-term goals, which also ties into number 4. If you're not clear, you're probably going to be expecting too much in too short of a time and you're going to give up, right? So you should, the short term of social media is just getting on social media, right? Setting it up, getting your platforms all pretty and nice and everything filled out. That's a short term. Okay. The long term, it's really what I call a slow burn, right? Because it does take time to get your content out there, getting the algorithms that all the different platforms have, building your followers, right? Just establishing yourself out there. So don't expect it, like Seth said, build it and they will suddenly show up, right? You got to, like you said, nurture it and grow it and take that time, right? It can seem frustrating that you're spending all this time doing it, but it does work if you're very consistent with it, right? And then picking platforms based on what you like, not where your customers are, right? I hear this all the time. These are kind of mistakes I hear based on conversations I've had with business owners. I'm like, well, are you on Facebook? No, I like Instagram. I don't really like Facebook. And I'm like, well, maybe your customers are more on Facebook, especially if they're the older crowd. So not based on what you like doing or you hang out there or, yeah, I don't really do LinkedIn because I just, I haven't figured it out, but it's like you're business to business. So don't base it on unless you are your buyer persona, unless you are your target audience, and then that's where you hang out, but really base it on where the customers are hanging out, right? And then no idea which platforms your ideal customers hang out. So we'll talk about the demographics of each of the platforms out there, most of them out there, so that you can figure that out and be in the right places for them. Not measuring the right number. So we typically, right, are always excited about, oh, I have so many followers, right? And now I think we've calmed down about like, oh, I need to have 100,000 followers in order to be anybody on social media. It's really quality over quantity, right? So I think we've hopefully, for the most part, stopped that nonsense of trying to just build follower accounts, but they really don't care about your business. It's about posting up quality content out there on a consistent basis. So you're looking at engagement, reach, all of those numbers in addition to your followers. So we don't want just the vanity number of how many followers you have, but also are they actually engaging with your content? Are they commenting, liking, sharing, reposting, etc., right? And then not having quality content in place. Of course, we need constant content. I was going to say constant contact, constant content out there to fuel the beast of social media and email and of everything else, right? So making sure you do have quality images and video content out there and of you, your business and products and everything that you need to have pictures of. And then trying to do it yourself when you don't like social media. I do hear this a lot, right? So people say, oh, God, I can't stand it. And I don't do it. And it's just kind of a chore. And I'm forcing myself to do it. You don't have to do it for yourself, right? You don't have to personally have a Facebook account. Only you need the Facebook, a personal Facebook account to manage a business page, but you don't need to post up what you ate for dinner and where you went on family vacation if you don't want to. But for your business, you got to be active. If you don't like doing social media, find somebody else to do it for you because nobody wants to do what they don't like. Like when our parents told us to eat the vegetables and clean the room, did we want to do it? No, right? Same thing, right? Um, so make sure that if you are the only one to do it, then you're going to have to learn to embrace it, right? For your business. And then thinking everybody can do social media. Sure, right? Your 17-year-old daughter who's great with, creating Instagram reels with trending audio, like I'll just have her do my social media. Again, I hear these all the time. I'm not making this up. I had somebody who wanted me to train her 11-year-old son how to use Canva so he could take over the company a business, a family business of social media. I'm like, let him finish. Would that be elementary, middle school, somewhere in there, 11-year-old? I didn't do the training. I didn't agree with that. But again, there is more to it than just somebody who knows, a kid who knows how to create great YouTube videos or Instagram reels or whatever, because do they totally understand your business? Or are they just going off like, hey, these are what our friends like, and this is what we find that's trending for us, right? So take your marketing side of your business just as seriously as you would say you wouldn't, because she's great with people, you wouldn't make her your HR manager, or she's good in math, you make her your bookkeeper, right? No, take your marketing just as seriously. Find somebody who knows what they're doing, right? With social media, email, etc. There is strategy, important strategy, looking up analytics. Sure, if you want them to create video once in a while, as long as your marketing person agrees with it, do it, but don't be that as the end all, right? I know that might seem like a cheaper way to go to hire your kid to do it, but it's not going to be something that's consistent. It usually doesn't work out too well unless they are actually have a job in the business and that's all they're doing, right? Not as a college thing or side of their business or whatever. So take your marketing seriously, folks. Okay. So 9 reasons why your business can't ignore social media. These are pretty obvious as well. Definitely will help increase brand awareness out there. That's what social media is really for, is building that brand awareness. Humanizes your brand, right? Share your story, right? We're all small business owners. People want to know about us and why and who we are and what we're doing. They don't, I don't need to connect with the CEO of, Procter and Gamble or Starbucks or any of the big brands that I buy products for. But as small business owners, they want to know our story. That's how we connect and want to do business with us, right? Definitely will help to stay on top of mind if we're being consistent with it, of course. Will increase website traffic potentially if you're connecting your website, sending them over to your website from your social media. Serves as a platform to partner with influencers if that's something that would work for your business to do that. You would definitely need to have social media to do that. Definitely will build reputation and goodwill, hopefully, not going to do the opposite. You don't want to do that. Helps to handle crisis if you have to handle that. Hopefully, nobody has to handle crisis, but if there is, and there's definitely a good way and a bad way to do it. So you do have to be careful with that. And then offers more meaningful insights about your customers. You can look at analytics, you can see what they're commenting, liking, sharing out there, how they're interacting with you on social media. And you can keep an eye on your competition, right? You can go check out their social media. Are they posting on a regular basis? What kind of content? Are people reacting with or say interacting with the content as well? That's one thing too, when you're doing competitor analysis, beyond looking at the social media, also look at their reviews. If it's a business that has reviews like Yelp reviews, Google reviews, etc., testimonials, see how people are reviewing them. Is there trending things that they're talking about that they're doing good or bad that like keep saying that they are doing this all the time, and maybe that's something that's a gap that you can fill. So take a look at all of that, competitor analysis and social media competition analysis, right? So very important. So let's talk a little bit more about stats, where people, who, where, what, and when was hanging out on social media, and then we'll break down some of the platforms out there. Right. So this is from last year, but it's still pretty accurate here as far as nothing's changed. Nobody's moved up or down in the rankings. Maybe the numbers have changed slightly. Facebook's still number one. People think it's like dead, but it's not. It's still the biggest one. Instagram dropped to number two, and YouTube took over the number two spot there. I think it's a little bit higher. Maybe it's like 2.1, 2.2 with Instagram now. TikTok coming up, that one just started in 2020. So it's newer compared to Instagram. I think was 2013, and Facebook is now, I think, over 25, I think years we're at now, which is hard to believe. It's a quarter of a century of social media. You can see LinkedIn, Reddit, Telegram, et cetera, coming up on their numbers here. So, and that's just, overall worldwide. Reasons people use social media, right? So starting from the bottom, right, and up is the largest number, keeping in touch with friends and family. That's the purpose of social media, why it started, right? To friends getting together in college, with Facebook, building from there. So filling spare time. Does anybody have spare time as a business owner? Do you know what that means? Someone tell me that. What is spare time? Like, people have it. They're going on social media. Bless them for having spare time. Reading news. We go there for news, finding content, seeing what's being talked about, right? Finding inspiration. Kind of now in the middle, finding products to purchase. Right. So potentially, like, I don't say I'm going to go to Facebook or Instagram and start looking for products. Right. It's, to me, I call it a drive-by activity. I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed at night, trying to get to sleep. And I'm like scrolling through, maybe check some reels out. I'm like, oh, look at those cute pair of shoes, or look at this product or that product. I buy off of them all the time. All right. Usually probably sponsored ads more than organic, but it's not a main activity I would go shopping on social media for. Maybe for some people it is. But generally we can see here it's right in the middle, right? So these are the reasons why we're hanging out on social media, but of course always is to be in touch with friends and family. Number one. So these are overall social media, not any particular platform yet. So just the basics here. Let's see, almost 94% of businesses use social media platforms. 77% of US small businesses rely on social media for sales, marketing, and customer service. Those 71% use social media primarily for marketing purposes. I won't read them all. You're going to get these slides out there. I just wanted to give you a few overall. 81% of small businesses incorporate Facebook into their strategies, as they should. It is still number one, as you can saw those numbers as well. I'll leave the rest for your slides later. So who's hanging out on social media by generation? So this is overall, all platforms combined. You can see here in this top graph, the majority of them, if you combine the first two groups, are the biggest group. So let's say millennials, and the top millennial right now, that's Gen Y, is just at 40. This actually, I have an updated slide. I didn't update it on this presentation. So 2026, right? We're now top of Gen Y or millennials is 45. Right, Gen Z, millennials are 14 to 29. Gen X 46 to, well, we just hit 60, I think, this year. And then baby boomers 61 and the silent golden generation. But the biggest two groups are going to be basically that 45 and below categories combined together, and it starts to drop off. And you'll see by platforms too, how it differs where people are hanging out. So again, mostly if you're in the 45 below group is going to be the majority combined together. And it does, start to drop off as you get in the older categories, right? And then, so comparing social media versus emails, this is an interesting one I wanted to share, right? So if you can see, it tracks social media, mostly that 45 and below. And you can see here on this slide, 50 plus, it really starts to drop off in comparison to those other groups. It's kind of a little similar. The 13 to 19-year-olds and the 50 to 59-year-olds are almost about the same, right? But combining those groups, the lower groups you can see where that falls. But look at email. Across the board, only a little slight drop off in the 65 plus. Everybody's checking emails. And email has the best ROI of any marketing tool out there. Okay, check out my email class. I think it's coming up. Right? It's double the return on investment of social media out there for every $1 spent on it. Doesn't email doesn't come close to anything else, or no one else, nothing comes closer to email as far as the ROI on it. And everybody's checking email, right? So if you're primarily your audience is say 50 plus, right? Email might be more important than social media for you, for hitting that group. Don't say don't do it because we're still out there, right? But email is definitely by far going to reach those older groups more, right? And then what do brand actions, what do consumers want brand actions to do on social media, right? Definitely being responsive, right? We use it for customer service now. It's like I'm going to go on Twitter or X as we call it and Facebook and send a message and reply to their comments or post something up or whatever, right? So just as if most of these, just as if we're going into a storefront, we want kind of the same. If I walk into a store and either they greet me or if I'm looking for help, I want to be able to find somebody to help me and give me the right answer, right? We still love promotions. We always want to save a little money where we can, right? Educational content, depending on the type of business as well. Interesting visuals. We always want to be somewhat entertained. Being funny, got to be careful with this with businesses. What you might find funny, somebody else might not find funny. What you find might be a cute, humorous meme might not make sense for some people. So we have to be very careful with that. Offering exclusive content on there. Behind the scenes, people like that. Depends on what your behind the scenes are. Mine would be pretty boring. I don't think anybody would want to watch me sitting here typing or teaching or whatever. They will fall asleep at the keyboard watching me on the keyboard. But if you have something interesting to, restaurants and baking and, there are a lot of things that people are interested to see what makes your world tick, right? Let's leave the number to the bottom one of trash talking competing brands, and we don't need to do that. Just don't do that. Big brands can get away with it. This many years ago when I think Twitter first came out, I think it was Burger King and Wendy's were having like burger wars. Sometimes they still do it now, but they were going back and forth, and you knew they were having fun with each other. They can get away with it, and it wasn't, maybe it was trash talking in good sense, but I wouldn't do that with any of your competing brands. It just not a good look. So leave that one off. Leave those competitors alone. Right. Some people might not know that it's like, oh gosh, hey, this is just a joke, like it was with Burger King and Wendy's or whichever the two burger companies were. They just had the recent where I guess the McDonald's CEO, they have a new burger and he ate, was on camera eating it and it didn't seem like he was enjoying it. So then every other burger company went out there and the CEO was sitting there eating their burger and showing how much they love their burgers. So they kind of were kind of making fun of the whole McDonald's thing, but I think it was in and all in good fun. I don't think they didn't necessarily trash talk McDonald's while they were shooting it, just saying, hey, I really love our burgers. So I don't know if anybody saw that. Okay. Let's see. Somebody asked, is there a program you use for emails? I find when I use multiple emails, they go to spam. So check out my email marketing class. There are different you should be using an email platform like Constant Contact, MailChimp, SendGrid. They're not sending them through your Outlook or Gmail or whatever. But yeah, check out my email marketing class. I'm sure Pace can see if it's on the calendar. I don't know. I can't remember if I taught it already or if it's coming up, or there's a previous recording of it for sure. Okay, so Facebook, I don't know, we should call it the king or queen of social media platforms out there. So a few statistics, and again, these are showing from last year, but nothing much has changed, been updated for 2026 so far. So definitely still the most used platform, over 2 billion used daily now. Ages, 31% of users are age 25 to 34. The rest, as we saw, and I'll show you the breakdown, total breakdown on demographics for this one. 30% of adults access news via Facebook, which could be scary, right? Fake news or real news or whatever. 50% of users' time is spent watching videos on there. So they do like video content on there. I'll leave the rest. A little bit more women than men, as you can see here, the breakdown by gender. So here are the ages, or the people hanging out by age. Here you can see across the board, mostly that 45 and below. This Facebook is where more of the 45 plus hang out in comparison to, say, Instagram, TikTok, all the other platforms, you'll find it's still a lot lower than those lower the younger kids out there, younger people. It's like when I'm in the higher group, like everybody's kids, right? So, but you can see here, there's a big drop off from those groups here, there. But again, mostly if you're looking at the 45 plus group, Facebook, there's more of them here. But again, it's not a huge group of the followers on social media. Number of users in the US, where are we here? 2026, we're coming to the end of this grid here. 256 million approximately in the United States out of that 1.8 billion out there. So we're just a little piece of the puzzle here in Facebook, as you can see. And it's been growing steadily. You can see looking back going to 2018, right? And just after the 2016 elections, we started to see people dropping off of social media, like literally not quiet quitting, but loudly quitting. They were sick of it. They're all the fake news things and everything that was going on around that election. So people started dropping off. But then what happened in 2020? Right? We had this pandemic hit, and then the only way for a lot of people to start interacting with friends and family was to jump on social media. Grandma and grandpa came on, and the parents and the family and everything. So the numbers just started going up, and we started to see a resurgence of social media after that as people forgot about the quiet or loudly quitting in the elections and all that. They said they wanted to connect with friends and family. Right. So very important. So you can see here it's only trended upward, which is good or bad. I don't know. Depends on how you look at it. Is it good or bad? We're hanging out on social media. So how often should you post per day? Right here, I say a bare minimum of three, I would say 4 times per week. It says optimal once or twice a day. The organic reach on Facebook especially is the lowest, right? About 1 to 3% organic reach. So that means every time you post, and let's just say you have 1,000 followers on your page, only about 2% on average will see that post. So it's very low. I'm not saying don't post, but you have to be very consistent and get content out there on a regular basis so they can interact with it. Right, so very important. You can post up, but if nobody's liking, sharing, and commenting, they might not see more content. That's how you get more reach, is get more engagement, right? So you want people to interact with your content, right? In order to keep seeing it, right? Because Facebook, especially, right? They have many different things on Facebook now. We have our friends, right? Friends that are called friends, family, whatever. And then you have groups that you follow. You have pages that you like or follow, and they're calling it now, right? Then they have advertising. So there's so much content potentially out there. Facebook throttles back the content based on what they think you find most important to you. And how they only way for them to do that is if you're clicking on things, right? They don't know if I'm sitting here on my phone scrolling through and I'm like, oh, I laugh at my friend Joe's cat videos, but I never interact with them. I just scroll past them. They don't know that I like his videos to show them. Might drop his feed off of my feed because I never interact with it. And they'll keep things that if I hit the like, share, comment, whatever, they're like, oh, okay, she really likes those. Let's keep feeding that beast. Right. Of course, they have to show their advertising as well. So it's all based on, and even the algorithms are so quick, right? I'm scrolling through reels, and then suddenly I look at one that I was doing this with a client, a solar power business client, and we happened to be on his Facebook page. I went on it, we're on Zoom, and I was looking at their Facebook content. And then I happened to go switch over to my feed. And within minutes, I was scrolling through and seeing all the solar power ads coming, all of his competitors coming up on my feed. It's pretty quick. Or things that, like, I'm looking at Instagram Reels. If I spend time, if I click on something, then suddenly it's like, yesterday I was looking at protein bars or something, and then my whole feed was protein bars. So it's pretty quick. So you do want to have people interacting with your content. So I always say the more you're out there, the more you're out there, right? If you're like, if I had a potential client say, we just want to post once a week. And I'm like, it's hardly even worth it at that point. It's going to drop. How are people going to interact? You only have 2%, maybe a little higher, obviously, with Instagram. But if you're not going to be out there more for people to interact with, you're never really going to build any momentum, with it. That one post you might do a week or randomly isn't going to hit it. So as much as you possibly can, don't, it says here, don't share a bunch of posts like I haven't posted for weeks. Let me throw out 10 posts and get them out there, or disappear for weeks, because that definitely will affect the algorithm. So consistency is the key. Okay. And here's the in times of engagement, kind of like a heat map here. This is an interesting one. Generally, you can see here, middle of the week, middle of the day. So that Tuesday is the darkest, that between say 10 and 2, and they're showing 11 and was that 11 and 12 or 10 and 12. The weird anomaly here is at 3 a.m. You can see where it's dark. We're thinking, are people like doom scrolling at night on Facebook? Right? Us old folks with insomnia trying to get to sleep, scrolling through our Facebook feed. I think that's it. You don't see that on the other platforms. But generally, it's about the same. Middle of the week, middle of the day is when they're going to have the most engagement. That means people are interacting with it, liking, sharing, commenting. And this is Facebook's own algorithm, thing, not me saying, hey, this is when the best engagement is. And that really hasn't changed much. It's been about that middle of the week, middle of the day time, right? Except that weird 3 a.m. slot, doom scrolling, I guess. Let's see. Catherine asks, is it better to post on 3 different days in a week on Facebook, or to post 3 times on one day? So if you're only posting 3 times total, do 3 different days, right? So unless you're doing 3 different days, 3 times a day, but yeah, I would say it's better to post throughout the week rather than just posting all on one day and being done with it, right? If you can post daily, great. Don't work yourself into a frenzy if you're like, oh God, Patty, I'm barely posting once a month and you want me to do 5 times a week now. If you're that person, start slow, start building. We'll talk about a content calendar and getting organized to get this all done. Get more consistent as fast as you can, but don't stress yourself out. Work up to it once a week, twice a week, 3 times if you're starting slow already, right? So the engagement rate for per type of post out there, including reels. So you can see reels, video content, photos. Of course, the engagement rates aren't too far off on any of these, but of course, people really do like video content above anything, or obviously images, more than just like statuses and things like that. And then Instagram, I kind of have this out of order. Number 2 is really YouTube, but I was trying to keep the meta family together here. So Instagram, again, 2 billion. Like I said, it was just knocked off of second place by YouTube recently. Obviously third most used. Instagram drives trends among users. It says 16 to 64. That's kind of interesting. Majority of users on Instagram fall between the ages of 18 to 24. It's the largest group. It's actually India is the largest group here. About equal male and female on this one. It was a little bit higher on Facebook for female. I said I'll leave the rest for your slides later. Here are the age groups, again, very heavily 35 and below on this. And you can see that 45 plus, it really drops off. It's a little bit lower for Facebook. You can see here with those groups, but Instagram is really going to be mostly that, say, 35 and below if you kind of look at those first 2 groups there, right? Not saying don't post on it if you have a product or service that's primarily the senior market, say that 55, 65 plus. Sure, try, you can. The other thing is to consider, I wonder if anybody in this room has this. Anybody have a product or service that primarily services the senior market, 65 plus? Anybody say yes in chat, or not, don't say yes. If you have, say yes in chat, and what type of product or service you have that is primarily for the senior market, if there is anybody in the room, and I'll explain that. So if you drop that in the chat, if you do. If not, I'll make something up here. Okay, it looks like we don't have anybody, maybe. Oh, there we go. Senior haircuts. So do you only do haircuts for seniors, or do you do haircuts for kids and 20, 30, 40-year-olds? So it is primarily a senior haircut. There are some businesses that do service to only seniors. Okay, so here's a good example, right? My father's 85, right? I'm one of his kids. I'm actually now living with him, taking care of him, and I do everything for him, including I would order a haircut. He has everything. He has everything done here at the house: pedicure, manicure, all his haircut, everything here, right? So that would be a service he could have done himself, but in the past, but now it's like I arrange it. So if you were trying to reach the senior, some are fully capable of making their own appointments and getting themselves to the stylist or whatever. Some are not. So if you're dealing directly with them, you might reach them in a different place. Like with him, you probably would have had to reach him reading the physical LA Times. For me, the digital LA Times, Facebook, right? I think I found his manicure pedicure. It's like for diabetes care. I think I found him on Facebook. It came up for mobile services like that. So you could, depending on if you do product or service that you're hitting that particular market, but then the secondary, which would be the children or grandchildren, or the caretakers, there's just caretakers as well. That might be a little harder to, because maybe somebody has to potentially be managing the caretaker. Some might have be taking care of it themselves, but I managed my dad's caretaker too. But I arrange everything. So yeah, how you reach that market is different, right? On the other side of it, the kids, if you have a product or service for kids, you're most likely dealing with the wallet, aka the parent, right? They usually are the one ordering products or services. The kids might say, "Hey, mom and dad, can you buy this?" But generally, right, the parents are. Depends on the product or service. I mean, the kids might see the product. If you're like tutoring, the parents, right? Senior living placement, exactly what Jet just said. Again, that could be potentially be the senior, but generally it's probably going to be a family member if they have family or somebody assisting them. And then I would look for senior living placement online, right? Social, and the senior living placement, right? They probably are marketing directly to the seniors mostly. But if they marketed to the kids to be prepared for that, and kids, we're all older, right? So be smart to do that, to have them, because generally it is, and when they need a placement, they can't do it themselves, right? They may or may not have a partner that can help them with it. So generally it might be the kids or even grandkids in that case. So definitely, yeah, 45 plus audience. And like I'm in the sandwich generation, right? So you might have parents on one side and kids on the other you're dealing with. I'm only half a sandwich, I call it. I only have a dad. I don't have the kids on the other side of the sandwich. So I'm an open face sandwich. So hopefully that makes sense. So you might be dealing with another market out there that could potentially be used for this. All right. So in Instagram, I think I was going back to Facebook, right? Different types of things you can post on Instagram, different types of posts, I should say, right? You have your general posts. You have carousels, which are newer. I'm trying to remember what year going back. This could have been like 2015 or so, maybe just after they started, they had carousels. So before you had to post up one, if you had a party, you have to post 10 different times on Instagram with your 10 different pictures. And then they added the carousels where you can just make it one post and then you just scroll through the pictures. Instagram stories. So those are 24-hour content unless you save it to highlight. Same with Facebook stories, right? Different types of use for that. And then reels. Actually, I have carousels title above the reels. Reels again started as it's a competitor for TikTok that came out first. So definitely Instagram, and I access them through Facebook because they have the reels on the feed there. So I kind of call them Facebook Reels, but we have Reels, which are the video content as well. So it should be a good mix of the different types of content out there. Let's see what 45, let's say what post stays the longest or is best. The different type of posts, I mean, reels, video content's very important. I would say try a different mix of them. Have some posts. Not everything we do is video, right? We want to have some static pictures and things like that. You can try stories. Stories are placed right at the top, right? Facebook, I used to have some slides with that. Facebook stories are right at the top of the feed, always there. So you can access them quicker. So you might try, I sometimes I do stories and a post for the same thing. So if somebody happens to go to stories and then maybe they have the post is going to go through their feed, right? And it'd be mixed in with all the other content that's out there. So I would say try a good mix of the different type of content and see what you're getting the most engagement with, right? And then best times to post, similar to Facebook. This actually, I'm going to skip this one because this is the same heat map here. So you see that 3 a.m. heat map doom scrolling time, which I'm guessing that is not here on Instagram. And again, middle of the week, middle of the day is still the highest engagement rate, even for Instagram. And then how often posting here per day? Again, bare minimum. I really would say like 4 times a week. So 4 different posts per week. Optimal is once or twice per day. Again, don't drop a whole bunch at once or disappear. Again, that affects the algorithm. It says the average Instagram business account posts once a day. So you definitely ramp up the content here on Instagram. And how the algorithm works on Instagram, it's a little, interesting, right? And they've been changing it up over the past few years. And so it used to be chronological view, and now it's set to following and favorites, but it's basically how much Instagram thinks a person will like a post based on your previous activity, how recent the post, how often you engage, what accounts, what your blood type is. No, I'm kidding. They don't do that. Feels like they should, huh? Post in the accounts they follow. So you can see quickly. I know with Reels, like if I start, but now I have some friend who shared an exercise video with me, and I watched it, and now everything coming up is about exercise, right? So it quickly learns like what kind of content you're interested in and who you might be following and how much you're watching the video. I think over a certain amount of time, it's like, oh, they really like this. So be careful what you're opening and watching for a long period of time. If you don't, not that it's bad to have exercise videos come up. That's a good thing. But it does pick up quickly. So things can drop off your algorithm and other things pick up based on what you're kind of spending time on. So kind of a wacky situation to follow the algorithm with Instagram, right? And then YouTube. So really number two out here is YouTube. So over 2.5 billion. Again, it might be a little bit higher now. We're deeper into 2026. Let's see, YouTube engages 46% of all internet users, 31% of the global population are on YouTube. Average user spends 19 minutes on YouTube daily, right? We have YouTube television now. So YouTube, they say, everything, there's a video for everything, right? You search anything on Google, how to change your car oil or how to fix a hangnail or something, there's a video for that, right? Somebody has created video content for that. Like that baby shark holds 14 billion views globally. I don't know if that's changed recently. A little bit more male than female, 54 to 45%, but everybody's, looking at YouTube videos. Right, here's the breakdown of the groups. A little higher here than even on Facebook and Instagram as far as that 45 plus, right? Everybody knows how to go and check out YouTube videos here, but still, again, majority is 45 and below, right? And YouTube Shorts, right? So that's a competitor to TikTok and Instagram Reels, etc. Is now the Shorts, right? So this is 23 to 27. You can see the number 150 million, maybe 155, 60 million, somewhere in that range for 2026 out there. So YouTube started, I think I have it, isn't it all started in 20, I think it hard launched in 2021. So just after TikTok and Instagram came out. So less users than you would find on the other ones because they were still building, but it's definitely growing. YouTube Shorts. So these are the different categories, the top categories for YouTube Shorts here: movies, videos, sports, pets, DIY, food and drink. So pretty standard across other platforms as well, right? And there's a few statistics. So YouTube Shorts are viewed 70 billion times per day. 2 billion people use Shorts monthly. It might be a little bit higher now. Over 910 million shorts have been posted. Again, it's probably a little higher. Engagement rate is about almost 6%. You can see are a little bit higher than TikTok and Reels, Facebook and Instagram Reels, right? So not too far. Facebook Reels is way off, right? So YouTube Shorts between 50 and 60 seconds earn the most views. Best time to post is between 6 and 10. Best days are Monday, Tuesday. The average creator posts 7 YouTube Shorts each month, probably more now, I would think, would be that way. So definitely if you're doing Reels and TikToks, definitely use Shorts as well. There still is more engagement there because there's less users than the other ones. I have people who have, some clients and advising clients that use it and find they get more engagement on that than the other platforms, right? And then X, right? Twitter, Zwitter, whatever we're calling it, right? Whatever you want to call it. So 12th most popular platform out there. It says 106 million in the US. I think overall it's like between 6 and 700 million users. So if you see in comparison to Facebook, Instagram in the billions, almost double of male to female ratio, 60 to 40%. Right. So it's, it's definitely changed with the new owner that took over for how many years ago. Definitely a place I've used it for news sources out there because things happen on Twitter faster. I still call it Twitter. Sorry. I don't like X. Um, so, depends on your business type. It can be a little business to consumer, business to business, but it's shifted over the few years, right? What's going on there. Users by age really popped up in that 25 to 34. It was a little bit higher in the older categories, but you can see here that 35 plus is a pretty robust, but again, mostly the 35 and below on here. And then the best times to post, I don't have one of those heat maps here for this one, but generally it's one that's Monday through Friday is the heaviest time of use there, not so much on the weekends. Generally all day. It says here posting during lunch hour, but it's generally, I think, because people are using it during work and maybe not so much on the weekends. That only shifted in COVID when it didn't matter what day it was, right? Because we're all locked up at home and checking our internet and social media feeds. But it has seemed like it's gone back to that a little bit more where it's more Monday through Friday out there. And this is really applies to all of the platforms that you can connect. I hear this mostly like, oh yeah, I post over to Instagram and automatically post over to Facebook. This was happened to be through Twitter to Instagram, or sorry, Instagram to Twitter. Um, don't I always say don't connect them, right? Especially if you're just like I'm just posting to Instagram and then it just automatically feeds to Facebook. Make sure it does if you are going to do it, but I recommend you posting them separately. On Meta, you can easily post to both at the same time. The reason being is the experience, right? In this case, this is going back to like 2017, but the experience was really bad because if it posted to Instagram first and then it posted over to Twitter, it would just give you a link to the Instagram page. Not a good experience because I don't want to leave Twitter to go to Instagram. Right now, it's like it will show the entire post. But even with the reason between Facebook and Instagram, or say starting with Instagram and going to Facebook, couple of things, right? You can't have a link in your caption that's live. You can put, go visit www.goldenstatemarketing.net, but it won't be a live link. Where at Facebook, it will. Okay, so you usually have to put see link in bio on your your Instagram caption, which if it just went over to Instagram, it wouldn't, you don't have a link in bio in your Facebook, so it wouldn't make sense. Also, some of you might have Instagram specific hashtags. Like I have a restaurant client, we use foodies of Instagram, Insta food, eating for the Insta. I'm trying to remember all the specific ones that you might have that you don't want to have over on your Facebook feed. So Meta, if you're just going to stick with Meta and just post there, Meta Business Suite, you can go and post and then you can choose to tweak it per platform. So you can go in and remove the see link in bio and put an actual link for your Facebook and then take out your Instagram hashtags for your Facebook feed, and it makes it super easy. Scheduling tool I use, you can choose to also tweak it per platform so you're not just having it link over and it's not a really good experience from one to the other. So use scheduling tools or Meta or whatever to make it and just make those tweaks so you're appropriately posting on each platform. That makes sense. Let's see. So Snapchat, baby. It's not the baby of the family. There's newer ones out there, but it's for the babies out there, the kids, right? Generally here, right? 34 and below, 25 really and below is your biggest categories here, right? So the youngins here. It says 89% of Snapchatters also use Instagram. I think it was equal, a little bit more. I don't know if I had it. Yeah, female to male, I think is about the same. Might be a little bit more female. Okay, so I'll just let you read the rest of those there. Best times to post is 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., but generally they're on all day, any day of the week if you are posting on Snapchat. I haven't put on here threads yet, so that one I'll update soon. I haven't seen yet I've used it. I haven't seen a big use of it yet B2B so far, so I'll add that on a later date. Pinterest, okay, it's been out there for quite a while. So over 537 million, 80% of weekly pinners feel inspired to shop on Pinterest, right? So you can do Pinterest shopping. 42% are globally are Gen Z, so millennials. 70% female to 30% male. Used to be like 99% female. The categories were generally weddings, baby, cooking, things maybe that women were interested in. But it has changed quite a bit, but not too much. So only 30%, right? The top reasons people use Pinterest is to discover new products and brands. Okay, 9 out of 10 users get inspired to buy, with 8 going on to make a purchase. Okay. And the top pin category is home design inspiration. That hasn't changed. It says 2021. That hasn't changed at all. And I'll show you the top. My slides are just going all over. Sorry about that. Let me just go back. Okay, there we go. My magic mouse is too magic here. We go on there to discover products. And again, these numbers haven't changed. Just looking at the dates here. But in a discovery phase, so unbranded. We're not looking for specific brands. We're looking for, I don't know, jewelry or perfume or shoes or something like that. But we're not necessarily, we go to get to the brands once we're looking for that, the unbranded searches, right? These are the top 10 pin categories. So again, home design, women's fashion, health, fitness, weddings, party, travel, etc. So you could, depending on your business, some of these could make sense, maybe not directly, but indirectly. So I'll give you an example. I worked for a credit union. I was their e-channel manager, and I handled mostly email marketing, but they had, at the time, it was 2013, right? I was the only woman in the marketing department, which is unusual at the credit. There's only 4 or 5 of us in the department. They said, "Oh, let Patty handle Pinterest," because back then it was mostly women. So I took it over, and right, it's a credit union, and we're all about selling money to our members, right? Meaning loans and credit cards and mortgages and all that, and we call share of wallet, right? So right. So we talk for our members, the credit union members, we want to save them money, right? Of course, and save it and give it to us, right? And take out loans, right? So a lot of the pins that I did were how to save money on weddings, a budget reception, right? How to save money on travel, how to save money for food and groceries for your family. So all of these had, ways around money, right? I have winery clients that we would use it for, of course, food and drink, wine, travel, come travel to the wine country. So post up pictures of the area, different things that you could do while you're there. So tying in any of the categories that you can. Weddings, they didn't really do weddings at their place, but that could be one. Parties, having events there. So it could work for some of you out there that maybe if you have a product or service, you could do Pinterest shopping. Does take some work to get into the Pinterest shopping world, but it's possible. Takes. I think you have to wait. I think 10 months of work of Pinterest time before you can get into Pinterest shopping, right? Best times to post are the worst. I'll start with the worst. Or during the work hours during the week. You can see here, generally in the evening after work, people are spending more time pinning and repinning and looking for stuff. Best days are Saturdays and Sundays. Kind of interesting. All right. So TikTok, right? The newer one on the block as of, I'm just going too fast. There we go. So TikTok 2020, right? Just as we started COVID, everybody would say who was taking place and doing all the TikTok challenges with you, your kids, whoever, anybody do some of them. Remember those TikTok, it was like daily TikTok challenges? That wasn't me. I wasn't doing it. I was busy. I was busy working, doing marketing. 55% of weekly TikTok users are female, 45% male. So a little bit more female than male, maybe doing those challenges. Let's see, 37% more weekly TikTok users aged 18 to 24 are posting or commenting as compared to 2022. Numbers have changed a little bit. Again, I haven't updated some of those stats because there hasn't been new ones out there yet. 47% of users trust product recommendations from celebrities or influencers, right? So people are shopping and influenced by TikTok videos out there. We hear it all the time, like, oh, it's the latest TikTok product. out there. I've heard that. There's a body cream that it's like, oh, is this popular? I'm trying to remember the name of the, not Sephora. Out, is it Alta Beauty? It's like the number one product that was on TikTok and now it's selling out, and I think it's Alta Beauty. Um, out there. So what's happening on social media is influencing product purchases, and retailers are also following those trends, right? And looking at the trending products that they could potentially carry that people are talking about rather than going directly. So that was a perfect kind of relationship with Alta Beauty selling this particular cream out there that became popular on TikTok, right? I'll save those, the rest for you. Distribution of TikTok users. So as of April of 2024, again, the numbers have changed slightly on here. You can see here the trend still follows 35 and below are mostly. You could see it does drop off that 45 plus, right? So not as many. We're there. We're just not there as much as a little bit higher on Facebook, but if you're selling a product or service that is primarily that 45 plus, it might not hit that audience. Again, this is kind of talking about the senior market potential products or services. Maybe that could work. It just depends. And generally, some of the things that we're talking about, maybe not the hair cutting, but like senior living, right? It's more of a potentially a crisis thing. People don't generally look at that too far ahead. It could be the younger, 35 and below, if that's, depends on the family member. But generally, I would think that Facebook would be the place to hit that up. And again, it's generally a crisis mode thing. So that I'd even look at Google, right? Other places to find it, because generally immediate need, immediate intent for something like senior placement near me, senior facilities near me, et cetera, or you usually get referrals from different sources. I've been like neck deep in all of that in the past year or so. So it's all close to my heart here with senior space. LinkedIn. So now we're B2B. Who in here, raise your hand or say yes in chat if you are B2B, business to business. I'm kind of looking back and seeing who shared where they're from or what they do. So do we have any B2Bers here? Yes, B2B. Okay, Catherine. Want to let us know if you are B2B, what do you do? And then also, some of you may be B2C, or I assume the others who are business to consumer. There could be some crossover. So share, if you want to share in the chat, what do you do? Some of you already did, but if you want to drop in there, what type of business do you have? And you consider yourself B2B or B2C or both? That would be great. And I'll talk about the I had to skip the hashtags on here, but I'll go back for some. I just realized I left it off of the presentation. I think I've trimmed it and left that out, but we'll talk about that in a second. Remind me. And I do see somebody else asked about hashtags. And I'm going to go back while you're sharing that. I'm just going to go back to I'm going to say Rico's question. If you're new to Pinterest or another social media platform, does it make sense to build out a bunch of posts to fill out your account so it doesn't look empty when the first people start following you? Yes, I would say get content on there. Don't drop all 10 posts on the same day or whatever the number is. Start lining them up. I mean, it's okay to do it daily or every other day. You can use scheduling tools to do that. But yeah, you definitely want to start filling in content, start getting in that algorithm before you start inviting people. Don't set up a new Facebook account and, you put up your banners and your pictures and stuff and then start inviting your friends to follow it until you have some content in there, because they might go look at it and go, I don't see anything going on here. Why should I follow it? They might not pay attention, just follow it anyways, but I would say definitely always good to have some content on there for them to look at, see what the vibe is of the page, right? All right. Okay. So let's see. I'm going back to the B2B, small business coaching and training, no cost employee benefits for small business, business consulting, bookkeeper, accounting. Okay, perfect. So we have some, and some of you could be, so partially, Letitia said event planning and rentals. So yes, you're absolutely, we'll talk about that situation because some B2B and B2C can cross over. Some are appropriate for LinkedIn, some are not. Recording studio where we concentrate on audio for video games, films, podcasts, audiobooks. Perfect. Okay. So let's talk, even if you're not B2B, don't go off and have coffee and fall asleep for a minute. Take a nap because it's important to know about LinkedIn. So according to LinkedIn, 80% of B2B social media leads are generated through LinkedIn. So that means every 4 out of 5 leads come from LinkedIn out of all the social media platforms, right? So all of those B2B folks who want to capture these, right? I'm raising my hand. I want to capture those. It is the top most used channel for B2B. Facebook, I would say, is probably lower here, but it's compared to the other platforms. Twitter, definitely more B2B. YouTube, Instagram, not so much. Doesn't mean that you don't post there. You know, you can post YouTube videos for your business potentially, or talk about your coaching business or your event planning, etc. But majority is going to be spending time on LinkedIn, right? And then B2C reseller of curated vintage home decor, furnishings, and clothing. So it's all home decor, not office decor at all, but sometimes it could cross over. But if you say it's all for home and not necessarily office, wouldn't necessarily be a place to go to LinkedIn. I'll talk about some that may seem like it's appropriate, but probably not. Okay, so I'll talk about that in a second. A little bit more male than female here. Okay, have well over, I think it's 1.2 billion worldwide at this point. A little, I think it's like 235, 40 million in the United States. I like this stat. 7 people are hired every minute on LinkedIn. And I think, where is it? There's another stat, 9,000 job applications submitted every minute on LinkedIn. So 9,000 job applications and 7 people are hired every minute on LinkedIn. Not really our market here, but interesting. Let's see what else here. We have video viewership up 36% from last year on LinkedIn. So people love video content even on LinkedIn. So I'll leave that the rest of the stats for you. And then the age, right? So this, as you can see here, it tracks with the other platforms. 35 and below is the majority. But I always just share this with the caveat that it's different with LinkedIn, right? With the other platforms, we might be looking at the demographics, right? The people who are looking for a certain product or service might be in a certain age, like the senior market we're talking about. But here we're looking for a particular person, right? Or persons, right? We're looking, like, say, I have a client, she's a CEO of a transportation and logistics company here in LA, multi-million-dollar company, 80 plus employees at this point, right? Does it, if you're trying to reach a CEO of a major transportation logistics business with that many employees and that many millions, because you want to do business with them, does it matter how old she is as a CEO of the company? If she's like 66, 56, 36, 26, right? Does it really matter? No, right? Now, reaching her as a now 36-year-old, right? 36, 37, right? Might be different for a product or service. You want to reach her as a millennial, younger millennial out there. I think actually, she's a millennial. Right, doesn't matter. But as a CEO, it doesn't matter how old she is. You just want to do business with a CEO. So I just wanted to share what the age group is. It does track, but it doesn't matter as much. If I need to reach HR directors, does it matter? I need to reach the ones that are 35 plus or 35 and below. No, I just want to reach HR directors who can do business with me. Right. So just wanted to share that. So a few stats again, I'll just read a few. More than 59 million, almost companies are listed on LinkedIn. 4 out of 5 people on LinkedIn are the decision drivers. I like that 73% of buyers are more interested in salespeople who reach out to them via LinkedIn. This kind of smacks against why people are saying they don't like LinkedIn because they feel they're getting spammed. But talk about that. Hold that thought in a minute, right? Okay, I'll leave the rest for you. A couple things on content. 77% of content marketers, LinkedIn delivers the highest organic results. I would agree with that as a content marketer. This is where we go for industry insights. It says here. So this is why, going back up, why we have longer posts with 1,900 to 2,000 words have the best performance and engagement rate. So long form content is king on LinkedIn because we are looking for industry insights. We don't come here to learn about what you ate for dinner and where you went on family vacation, right? And how cute your new haircut is or whatever, right? This is where we go for education on your product or service that we want for our company. So I want more information on that, right? Businesses that post weekly on LinkedIn see 2 times growth in engagement. Here, it's not as aggressive as you have to be with the other social media platforms. 2 times could work. You know, I would still say more could be better. You know, in this case, more is better. Again, more you're out there, the more you're out there. I'll give you an example. So last year, I had pre-scheduled out in January one social media post every week. It was my, I think it was Tuesday tips. I had a Tuesday marketing tip, and I happened to just do that one in January. It could have been February, and I had it scheduled for the entire year. Right. March hit. I had a lot of issues. My parents both had dealing with medical issues, and I stopped. I didn't post anything else. I didn't have it schedule anything else for the rest of the year. I just had that one consistent weekly post that was already out there, and maybe a couple random posts here and there. I just stopped. But it was interesting. One of my colleagues who has a social media business here, she said, "I see you on LinkedIn all the time," and I'm like, "Huh? Well, I'm really not." But she would see my weekly posts. I think I did see her engage with it on occasion. So to her, it looked like I was on all the time. I said I was not prolific, but I was consistent. Every single week that post went out with or without me, because it already was pre-scheduled for the entire year, right? And it appeared I was. Now this year I got ahead of the game just in case, right? Not dealing with any family health issues going on with the parents. But I scheduled out the beginning of the year, 4 different posts to go out on LinkedIn. I primarily focus on that on B2B, right? So I have one going out Monday, a Monday marketing tip. I have my Tuesday blog that goes out, or my LinkedIn newsletter, my Wednesday webinar schedule, and a Thursday question that I put marketing question I put out. They are all scheduled out for the entire year. And I'm seeing a bump now. People are engaging with them more, and I'm getting people to call because they see the content, right? And say, "Oh, I'm seeing you on LinkedIn." So it wasn't just my colleague who thought I was online. So now I'm prolific and consistent with that content that's already out there. So like I said, the more I'm out there, the more that I'm out there for people to see the content potentially, right? So it does make a difference. If you put, as long as you're out there a few times a week consistently is good, but a little bit more could be better, right? Just getting out there, people to see the content. And there's different types of content. We'll talk about those as well. So advertising, LinkedIn could reach 15% of the population if you wanted to. Might cost a pretty penny. As a result of LinkedIn ad exposure, businesses' purchase intent increased by 33%. And definitely hyper targeting is always more successful than a wider approach wherever you decide to advertise. Okay, I'll leave the rest for you later. So how do you participate on LinkedIn? Right? There's different ways. LinkedIn wants you to treat LinkedIn just as if you're doing in-person networking, right? You're connecting with people, you're meeting them at events, shaking their hand, exchanging business cards, whatever you're doing. You're following, maybe not following a company page, but you're learning about the company, right? You're sharing, maybe sending content to them, educating about what you do, right? And then you're engaging with them back and forth online. You're engaging with their content, creating a newsletter, which is a blog. Well, I'm going to talk about that a little deeper in a minute, right? So it's a blog, not like an email newsletter. You're participating in groups. That could be groups that are in your industry or industries that you want to do business with. A lot of leads happen through groups. So you're participating everywhere. You're basically, as it said here, in other words, you're networking, right? You're getting out there and sort of pounding the digital pavement, building relationships with your content and your connections. Okay. And then what is networking, right? Here, this is just the dictionary definition, just intentional and purposeful act of building and nurturing professional connections, relationships, and collaborations, right? It doesn't say that we're out here. Networking is about selling, right? It's building and nurturing professional connections, relationships, and collaborations. Okay. It is in the sense you are selling, right? You're promoting yourself, but you're doing it in a way where you're building those relationships to share your subject matter expertise, right? So why network? Of course, to find clients. That's the goal. As you're building those relationships, potentially find some of those hires with those, whatever, 7,000, 8,000 job applications that are posted every minute. Expand your opportunities and collaborations. Learn from others, right? So it says your network is your net worth there, definitely, whether you do it in person or online. And don't be afraid to network, right? Does anybody here like absolutely hate networking? It's okay to admit it. Share it, say yes in chat, raise your hand. Just like I don't like doing it, whether it's in person or online. It's like you're shy or just like don't want to bother. Anybody here? Does everybody love networking? Say yes, hallelujah, amen. Everybody loves it. Or I think you're all just like, whatever. I don't know. Quiet group today. There we go. Letitia loves it. All right. Yay. I'm going to a networking event tonight here in Los Angeles with the National Association of Business Owners. I look forward to it. I love seeing people. I sometimes I'm like, I don't want to people, some days I think after COVID, I'm like, it's too many people. If the room is noisy, it's too much going on, but it's like, I'm excited about it. Right. So it definitely says the easiest way to network is to have a great elevator pitch to open doors. Exactly. Know how to talk about your business. Very important. Bring plenty of business cards. Right. Make sure whether it's digital, I like still having physical cards. So I always have my stack of business cards. I hand that out first. If they want to do digital, I'll do it. But sometimes I don't like the digital because I forget who I met that immediately with the digital. I still like receiving cards so I can have them physically in front of me to make connections with afterwards. But network. So back to this. So don't be afraid. And when I say it's not spamming, this I usually hear online, especially with LinkedIn. I mentioned this earlier, right? It says people say, "Oh, I hate LinkedIn because I connect with people and they immediately spam me with a message," right? And you get the DMs and they're like, "Hey, let me tell you all about the latest and greatest marketing tool and let's schedule a call and I'm going to sell you this and it's going to change your life," right? No harm in that. Okay. There's no shame in the game. Okay. There are people who I'm going to call them more sales forward. I don't want to say aggressive, but sales forward, right? Some of us are more natural born salespeople and they know they got to dial for dollars, pound the pavement, make those goals, hit those numbers, right? And sell, sell, sell. And that's okay. Not all of us are that way, right? And we're no one's spamming. If you're sending somebody a message, you're spamming them. Imagine if let's just say I'm at the mixer tonight and let's say Catherine here, she's at the mixer. We don't know each other, and we walk up to each other, and I say, "Hey, Catherine, how you doing? Well, tell me, what do you do?" And she's telling me what she does, and she hands me her card, and she's talking, and I'm assuming, I would hope safely assuming after she's done, she'd want to know what I do. But as soon as I start talking, she puts her hand up in my face. She goes, "No, don't spam me." Now, I'm sure, Catherine, you would not do that, but it would be the equivalent, right? None of us would do that in person, like, "Oh my God, she's spamming me." No, she's sharing her information. I'm sharing mine. We're handing each other's card. We may or may not be in need of each other's product or service or whatever, but I'm going to take the card, file it away, and file her information away in my brain and go, maybe there's somebody I know who might need that service at one point. I'm going to convince her to join NABO because I'm the membership director, right? But again, it's not spammy. Now, if we had met on LinkedIn, she connected with me or I connect with her, we accepted the invitation, and then I sent her a message. Now, mine wouldn't be as sales forward, right? I know you wouldn't do that, Catherine. I'm sure nobody would. Um, as I say, "Hey, well, thanks for connecting. Is there anything I could help you with? Tell me more about what you do and who you serve so that I can, potentially connect you," right? I love connecting people. So I would rather do that than say, "Hey, Catherine, let me tell you all about how I can help you with my marketing. Let's schedule a call." And, I'm not going to push that, right? I'm going to let my content do the speaking for me. But that's just me, right? If somebody wants to do that push, that's okay too. We're just promoting our businesses. We're not spamming each other. When we hand each other a card, we're not spamming each other. So I want you to take that out of your vocabulary and you're thinking about LinkedIn, because this is how we reach each other is digitally, is learn about our business. And again, for the folks that are out there and they're more sales forward, that's okay too. No shame in the game. Everybody has to do their business. We shouldn't be afraid to network. We shouldn't be afraid to share our information, give each other the card, anything you would have for your business. You shouldn't be afraid to I'm going to hand him my card. I don't know what he's going to do with it. You don't know who you hand it to, who could be that next opportunity for a collaboration, a connection, or business customer, right? So we want to take that out of our vocabulary. Just we all do it differently, right? So now you can network here. We already told you at the beginning, share in the chat, share your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn company link, your website, anything you want to share that's on your business card. You shouldn't be afraid to share in the room. You'll be able to connect everybody. The chat file will come to you from Pace, and along with the recording and the slides, and you'll be able to click on everything. But share in the chat. You shouldn't be shy about sharing here or anywhere else. I have clients that have connected in the rooms of some of my classes and done business with other people and collaborated on some things. So definitely very important. So share whatever you want here. Definitely LinkedIn would be a great place to start, right? Make those connections. All right. So go ahead and do that in the chat. We're not breaking out into networking rooms here. I'm just inviting you to share your information in the chat and do that. We have one so far. Jet is ready to go. Hashtags. He's reminding me about hashtags. So I'll let me finish the LinkedIn thing and then I will go into hashtags on there because I think I do talk about hashtags on LinkedIn. Okay, so most importantly with LinkedIn is your presence. This always gets confusing for some, so I always want to kind of share the elementary part of it. So LinkedIn works very similar to Facebook. Okay, everybody starts off with what's called a profile. I want you to use these names for moving forward. We all have a profile and that's us as a person. Okay, we call it, say, a personal profile, but some people call it a personal page. It's not a page, it's a profile, just like Facebook, but except here it's your professional information rather than your personal. So who you are, your name, your headshot, where you've worked, what school you went to, your volunteer, your skills, everything business related, professional related, right? So that's your profile. You only should have one of those because we're only one person, right? So you shouldn't have more than one. If you accidentally have more than one, I would search your name and see maybe you forgot you set one up under an old company or you forgot a password over here, so you set up a new one. It happens. I've seen people have like up to 5 profiles. I would, if you can, access the other ones, log in with the email and password, is to delete them. So you have one clean profile. Okay. Now, company pages, similar to Facebook, they're managed by your profile. You can have as many company pages as you want, but only one profile. Okay. Yes, and Jet asked, do you need one for the company? I would say yes. Have one for the company because you're going to put different information specific to the company on there, and then people can follow the company page. So I'd have both on there. So I would say yes, you should have a company page. And again, you can have multiple company pages that are managed under the profile, right? You can't, just like Facebook, you can't go log in and just set up a company page. Like you say, Instagram, you can have a personal page and a company page, but this works the same. They're managed under a person. Okay, now this has come up. I have people who are different situationships, professionally. I'm not talking personally. Different situations, like, for example, okay, Patty, I work at Goldman Sachs. I'm a financial analyst, but I'm starting a new business consulting venture, right? I'm going to be a business coach. And Goldman Sachs doesn't really, favor us having a kind of a side gig. I might be leaving my Goldman Sachs job as I, build my business coaching business. So I don't want them to know I got this over here. How do I handle that? There's not really a good way. You're going to have to pick a lane, right? You can't necessarily hide your business coaching venture from your Goldman Sachs employees that you might be on LinkedIn with. It's hard to promote your own personal business when you're trying to hide it from your employer. I get it. Some people have to kind of make money while they're building their next venture, but there really is no clean way to do it. Don't set up an alias, don't set up a second profile that just is your business coaching people, because you only should have one profile. So there is only one exception, and I'm sure there's probably nobody in the room. And if you are, don't tell us. I had a client that wrote a book under a pseudonym, and to this day I don't want to know his name because he's under witness protection because the book exposes the mafia. So in this case, to sell the book, we did use his pseudonym, but we weren't trying to make connections and do business. We're just selling the book. And we just set it up under the pseudonym. So unless you're in witness protection, and then again, don't tell us, we don't want to know unless you're using a fake name here in the chat. There really is no way around it. So you have to pick a lane. Okay. But again, one profile and multiple company pages is fine. There's that. Hopefully that's clear. Same with Facebook, works the same way. So in your LinkedIn profile, right, you want to have everything filled out, have a nice clean headshot. Again, just you up to date, not you with your dog or your family or your bathroom selfie, whatever. Don't do all that stuff, right? Have a nice clean headshot. I would say the one Rivka is the only one, a little too close up. Make sure it's as current as possible because somebody might meet you in person or online, not when you look cute as a redhead 25 years ago and now you're blonde or whatever. Make sure it's close to what you look at and have a headshot because people connect with people. They want to see who they're connecting with. Don't be, this isn't time to be shy. You're a business owner, right? You can hide from other people, but don't hide as a business owner. And then the different levels of connections. I want to go back. I seem like I got some things out of order here. The different levels of connections, if you're not familiar with it, you'll see next to a name first, second, third, right? So first are the people that you directly connected with. One of you sent, the other an invitation, the other accepted it. And seconds are you're not yet directly connected, but you have mutual people in common that are connected. So that maybe could be an in, like, oh, hey, I see we're both connected to Bob at USC, and how do you know him or whatever? That may or may not work. And then third connections are nobody knows anybody, right? You're not directly connected. There's no mutual connections, and you can still connect to them. Okay. So you know the basics. And then your about section. I don't know why I had that stuck in the middle of that. On your profile, very important section here, right? So typically we see, like, probably a lot of us started out LinkedIn many years ago. Maybe you had a job, or even if it's updated to your current situation, we tend to write them as if they're resumes, right? Here's my experience in fast-paced, multifaceted work environment. Strengths include, right, specialty key areas of leadership and expertise. It reads like a resume. Does it read like, here, I'm trying to find a client? What would the about one at the bottom, who am I trying to serve? I can do project management, I do team building, I can do revenue and profit growth, business development. I see a couple different types of people here. I have a client that does team leadership at building, but he doesn't do project management. I know people who do revenue and profit growth, but they don't do, change management or customer service. So who are you? Who do you help with? So to me, it just looks like a list of things that you've done as a career, right? Instead of hiring. So you want to make sure that your about section reflects who you are. Now, I have a really dumb question I'm about to ask, like Captain Obvious here, right? Looking at this about section, what do you think this person does? I know it's a dumb question. Put in the chat. Somebody put in the chat. What do you think this, based on this about section, what did this person do? I know it's a pretty dumb question. And somebody has to answer it, right? Pretty easy. If I pulled this up randomly on LinkedIn and I looked at the about section, right? What does he do? It's a he. Brand expert, right? Exactly. I know it's a dumb question. It's quite obvious. Marketing, brand development, brand strategy professional, right? But what's interesting is his banner, his on his profile was for a business. I think it was either pest control or yard landscaping or something. So I was confused. I'm like, does he own this? I'll just say it's a pest control. It's a beautiful banner, pretty pictures, the logo of the pest control company. But his about section was all about marketing. So I'm like, is he marketing for a pest control? Does he now own a pest control? And he's a former brand expert here. So it should be about his business and what he does. So you should start this out, right? Just as somebody mentioned, talking about a pitch, having a pitch ready for networking. So this is where you have your, what I call the hand raise message, or your pitch, right? Should be who you serve, what are their pain points, what is your solution for that, and what is the expected outcome, right? This is just like, here I am, here's all the things that I do, I have experience in. It's a wrong job because he obviously does this pest control business now, right? So talking about, like, hey, there was one I talked to, business owner, and hers was perfect the way it was. It was like, I help businesses realize more profit in their business, something to that effect. I'm kind of paraphrasing. But what she does, she's a business consultant helping businesses when they're in crisis mode. And so she goes, I'm helping you find more profit in your business by cleaning up your mess behind the scenes. She didn't say that, but that's how she does it. But the first thing that grabbed me, like, you're going to help me find more profit in my business? Great. Let me raise my hand. Oh, you're going to come in and see where the processes and procedures are, where I'm losing money. So she's going to help me realize more profit by cleaning up my mess. And that's at the space she's meeting them. So right away, she said she's helping me find more profit, right? I know she said business owners find more profit. Now, she didn't talk about the solution because it was like, hey, you probably need to clean up your mess, right? But it was all about the outcome is I'm going to help you find more profit. So I would put, I serve busy business owners. Their pain points are they're too busy, overwhelmed to get their marketing done consistently. My solution is strategic focused marketing training or done for you services that actually grows their business. Right. I don't talk about I have 25 years in marketing and I have a master's in this and I've done growth strategy, branding, SEO, blah, blah, blah. Here's my list of services and things that who I've served and all of that. That's great. They can assume I have a marketing business that I have some experience in it, right? But they have to see themselves in it, right? They have to be the hero of the story and you're the guide of the story, right? So I don't have an example of a good about section, good question, but that's basically the breakdown is you can put at the bottom your resume type stuff, but at the top it should be again who you serve, what are their pain points, what is your solution, and what is the expected outcome of that. Okay. And that's a good elevator pitch, right? Yeah, because it'd have your elevator pitch. So if I teach this in my marketing class, mine is, hi, I'm Patty with Golden State Marketing. I'm hired by busy business owners who wear so many hats. Their marketing gets put on the back burner, and all they really want is strategic focused marketing that actually grows their business. Right. I hit who I serve. Their pain points are they're too busy to get their marketing done. And they're just looking for strategic focused marketing. That outcome is to actually grow their business, right? So we don't talk about like I have 100 years in marketing experience, right? If I'm telling you what I do, I'll give you another. This is pace related here. I'm sure Swan and Veronica will remember. So October of 2024, I'll give you a reason why I give you the exact date. They invited me to speak for at the Little Tokyo Business Association in a marketing panel. And after they had a nice little reception, and so everybody knew who I was because I just spoke in the panel. And this gal walks up to me, and she didn't ask what I did because she knew. I said, "Oh, what do you do?" And she goes, "Oh, I do tech." I'm like, "Okay." So I'm sitting there contemplating and sipping my drink. I said, "Do I need to play 20 questions with her? What does that mean exactly?" So I'm deliberating what I'm going to just ask her next. This gentleman walks up. Actually, it turns out to be her colleague. And I said, "Oh, what do you do?" And he goes, "I get paid to give you back more of your time." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" I immediately snatched my business card out of my pocket. I always keep them in my pocket. And I literally pasted it almost on his forehead. And here it is. Here's my card. What do you mean? You're going to give me back more of my time? Okay, it's going to cost me money, but I value time over money, like, because I can't make more time. I can only make more money. And we exchange digital cards, business cards, everything. And so a third person walks up and he asks, "What do you do?" And he asks the one gal, she's still stuck to, "I do tech," right? Then he asks the guy who just told me he gets paid to give me back more of my time. This time he goes, "Oh, I do software." And I said, "No, no, no. Tell him what you just told me." He goes, "Oh, yeah, yeah. I get paid to give you back more of your time." I'm like, "That is your pitch. Right there." I go, "I could use that. I get paid to give you back more of your time by taking away your marketing from you or training you how to do your marketing more efficiently." Right. And that's all he needed. Now, I mentioned October of 2024, right? What is today? April of 2026. I am still waiting for this guy to reach out to me to sell me that software that's going to give me back more of my time. Fortune is in the follow up, folks. He had my card, digital and paper card, but he never followed up. So I didn't think I would have to follow up with him. He's trying to sell me, sell me his software to give me back more of my time, but not a good salesperson there. So again, make it super easy. Make sure it's clear. Like, hey, I'm going to give you back more of your profit as a small business owner. That's the one gal I was talking about. She didn't necessarily have to say yes. She could have said, "But I'm going to come here and clean up tighten your processes and procedures to realize more profit." So again, make it whatever that quick pitch is. If you're going to an event or talk to somebody about what you do, make sure it's very clear and they can raise their hand and go, "Ooh, yes, that's me." And I can toss my business card in your face and go, call me. I want that." Right? We want that. We don't want head scratches. Like, I still understand who you serve, what you do. Right? It's very important. So back to LinkedIn. Right? So articles and newsletters. Anybody here who's in the B2B space already doing articles and newsletters on LinkedIn or even know what I'm talking about? Anybody? Or they're all like, "I don't know what she's talking about there." Right? No? Okay. So Very important feature, right? You should be doing posts on a regular basis, just social media posts on LinkedIn if you're B2B. But articles and newsletter is another piece of content you should be doing on there to reach out to your followers and your connections with your subject matter expertise, right? So what it is, technically they're both the same thing. And we're not talking newsletters like you send out via email with all your company updates. That is an email newsletter. I know it's a little confusing because LinkedIn uses the same term. This is a blog, okay, whether it's an article or a newsletter. It's one blog, one piece of information, one topic, right? They're technically the same. Logistically, they're a little different. I'll explain that. So to find this feature, right, you go right where that big fat green arrow is in the home page. It says write article. You can do an article from your profile and or your company page. I do both. I post on both. I do newsletters, more important than articles. Okay. Everybody can do an article. You can do it from the free account. You don't have to have a certain amount of followers. You don't have to post it. You just do the articles. And again, it's one blog, one topic that you're posting about, subject matter expertise that you have. Okay. And they're just one offs. They go to the news feed, right? As soon as you post them, they're in the news feed of your connections and followers. Okay. Still pretty good. Newsletters, one step above. Okay, so when you go to that right article and you come to this page here is the article. To get to the newsletter feature, you have to go under manage and you should see create a newsletter if you haven't yet set one up. Okay, and then I already have one, marketing news tips and hacks. That's under my profile. Now, if I want, I can switch over on this little down thing here on the left. I can change over to my company page. And that one I think is a Skyrocket Your Brand newsletter, right? So there is an article, anybody can send it. Newsletter has a little extra criteria to it. So for your company page, you have to have over 150 followers. Your profile, they recently are changed it. I think last year, there used to be over 150 connections. Now everybody should be able to send it, even with just a few. So everybody check your profile and see if you see that create newsletter. If you do, you're able to create a newsletter and send it out. Okay. You should also have some original content first, especially on your company page, before you're able to see that feature. Okay, so if you don't, if even if you have over 150 followers and you might not see it because you haven't posted any original content, reposting doesn't count. So I always post originally from my profile and my company page. I don't just post on the profile and then repost it to my company page. Okay, so that's an extra requirement for the newsletter. And of course, you should be in good standing, not do anything naughty on LinkedIn. Now, most important is where the newsletter shows up. And this is what makes it a more powerful feature. Is it does get also posted on the feed because it does create a social media post at the same time. But more importantly, it shows up in the notifications inbox as soon as you post an addition to the newsletter. The articles don't do that. Okay, so this is probably the first place that we go when we first log in. We look for all those little red dots with new networking connections, new messages, new notifications. All right, so you can see here new from Kalika Yap in Kalika Yap newsletter. The Thief of Joy is the title of her edition. Now, the very first time that Kalika posted an edition, there was a subscribe button right to the right where it says Thief of Joy, for example. So the very first time people will see a subscribe and they subscribe to your newsletter. They don't subscribe to articles, right? So now you're capturing those subscribers. Okay. So this, I always say it's almost like having a fake email address or, email list because it almost is like it's dropping into an email inbox, right? It's here for them to take, whether they open it and read it or not, they, subscribe to it is one thing, but it's sitting there and probably one of the first places they go. I might not go to my news feed every single day and then scroll through and try to find your article that you posted up, but I will always check my notifications and see, all my latest, right? So very important to do a newsletter for this reason. And then once they subscribe, this is my page from my newsletter for my profile. So you can see here how many subscribers. I think this is an old one. So I have maybe 1,500 now. So I have how many editions. You create a new edition here. So it's called an addition to a newsletter rather than just posting up an article. Okay, and then the other step, I can click on that subscriber number and I can see everybody who subscribed. You can see I have first, second, and thirds, people who have maybe just follow me and or I got my link. I always share my link in my emails and have signed up. And I'll go through periodically and I'll connect with the seconds and thirds. So I'm deepening my relationship with you, and seeing all my content and making you all into first connections here. So again, much more powerful tool to use. So you should be using that to, again, share your subject matter expertise. Okay. So hopefully we'll do some articles and newsletters. All right, perfect. Okay, just checking to see if there's any questions. So if you're building a LinkedIn profile for a business, should you use a logo as a profile pic? So, okay, I want you to keep the terminology correct, okay? Your profile is you, okay? Company page. We don't want to say LinkedIn profile for a business. You shouldn't be using the profile as a business, right? So you want to have your LinkedIn profile, which is you, and then you create company pages, right? And yes, on your profile, you're putting your shiny bright face on there as your picture, and then on your company page, it's your logo. Okay. Best times to post. Now, this is based on LinkedIn's algorithm, not by me. And it's all over the place. It used to be like beginning of the day, Monday through Friday, and then at the end of the day. But now they're finding people are engaging at different times. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go log on at 6 o'clock in the morning to post. Use a scheduling tool. LinkedIn has its own scheduling. You can schedule or post right away. But try out the different times. Depends on your business, who your audience is. You know, if you're dealing mostly with HR directors, you're probably Monday through Friday. They're probably not checking things on weekends. I work with all of you, right? Busy entrepreneurs, we're probably checking it all the time, right? I am working on the weekends and whatever. So I find that I could post on the weekends. I generally stick that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but occasionally I might post things on a weekend as well. So it depends on your audience when you want to do it. Right. And how to find leads on LinkedIn. Right. So a couple different ways here. So definitely your network dues. Keep your profile updated. Make sure it's not circa 2000 and late. Right. I haven't touched it for 15. It's like 26 years, I think now. So if you haven't touched it for 10 years and more, it's time to update it. Right. Add connections to your network. You can look at who viewed you, former clients, connections of your first connections. You can go and click on somebody's profile and look at their connections. If they have it open as public, you can click on it and see who they're connected to. You can do searches for specific people or companies. I'll show you that in a second. Follow current clients and prospects, write recommendations, ask for recommendations. Now it's a little tighter. It's like if I want to ask for recommendation, I ask somebody I'm connected to, like say a client, it will send them a recommendation request saying, hey, Patty's asked you to recommend her. Would you do that? And they can choose to do that or not. Don't ask for connect or recommendations from people. Like I won't recommend anybody I haven't done business with or worked with in some way. So don't, ask and go, Patty, can you just write a little quick recommendation for me? So make sure they're authentic, right? Join groups that, again, as I said, either in your industry or industries you want to do business with. It might be a referral source within your industry. A lot, check out the groups. Again, follow the rules of engagement with the groups. Don't go in there and start promoting your business unless they allow that. I say read the room, look at their rules if they have any, but then also look at the previous posts. What are people posting about? Maybe somebody's asking questions like HR director groups, like you're looking for HR people and they're asking certain questions of something you can help them with. So again, that's how those building those relationships work and finding people who are looking for their problem solved that you can help with. Okay, use LinkedIn to celebrate the accomplishment of others. So again, people post up birthday here, or hey, they just got a new job or a new situation going on. They want you to be reciprocal and paying attention, right? Just like you would building relationships, right? Share your link on website, social, email. Don't be shy. Put it on your business card. Share it in this room, as I just mentioned. You shouldn't be shy about sharing your business information. If you're too afraid to share it online or in person, like, why are you in business? Wonder why people are shy about networking and sharing their information. We're out there as business owners. Yes, things could happen, but for the most part, I haven't had any bad experiences sharing my business cards or my LinkedIn profile or anything else out there. Even sharing the email address is always out there as well. People aren't spamming me like crazy, amazingly. So how you connect with people. So one way is you just look up by particular type of person. So in this case, mechanical engineer. So I say I want to do business with mechanical engineers. So I just put in the term mechanical engineer. Will pop up anybody who has that title in their profile, and I can choose to send a note or not. Now keep in mind now with the free account, they limit it. I think it's only like 6 per month is the number. It used to be more, but now it's 6. And then on the premium or navigator accounts, you can do more. I don't know if it's unlimited. So use it spare, why if you're on the free account, might be like, oh, I just met Julie at the conference, or hey, Patty, I saw you in your class today. I get those all the time. So use those, to if you want to make that deeper connection with them. It doesn't really, from a survey that was done. I don't think it was Seth. Neil Patel, I think he did a survey, 2 million connection requests, half with an invite and half without. And there wasn't much difference on whether people accepted the connection if there was a message on there or not. So it may or may not make a difference unless you're trying to like remind them, hey, I met you at this conference, or hey, we talked at that event or whatever, or Julia recommended I reach out to you. So it could be important to have it or just try without, and see if they accept that connection. Right. So a different search is if you want to narrow it down. In this case, if you can read that up at the top, it's small. I'm looking for owners of environmental engineering firms. Okay. I'm not looking for the environmental engineer. I'm not looking for the HR director, the marketing manager, the IT person, or the janitor, or whoever. I want the top person, right? The owner of the company. So in this case, I'm doing what's called a Boolean search. I'm kind of narrowing it down by putting in quotes environmental engineering and quote owner. So it's just going to pull in anybody who has the term environmental engineering in their type, the company name, and then they're called an owner. And it will pull, you see the results on the right, pulled up a bunch of them that were owners. Now keep in mind, an owner might also be called the CEO, the president, right? General manager, founder. So you might have to do some different Boolean searches to pull in founder, CEO, etc. So keep that in mind too with, say, for example, I'm looking for English teachers in Los Angeles Unified School District, right? We probably all call ourselves an English teacher, but here in LA, all of us call LAUSD something different, right? It could be the initials, it could be LA Unified School District, the full name. I always just called it LA Unified because my mother is a former teacher of LA Unified. So you have to try the different ways because if you just put in LAUSD and I have LA Unified, it's not going to pull up both. Okay, I won't recognize them because they're not similar. Senior partner, president, executive director of law firm. Again, we have different titles, like I mentioned with the founder, owner, right? So you want to make sure you put those on the navigator link. If you want to purchase and pay for LinkedIn Navigator, you have the ability to put in different titles, all the same search, and it'll pull up all the CEOs and directors and principals and whatever titles that you want to put in there all at once. So again, if you want to kind of narrow it down, that's what a Boolean search does. Okay. And should you pay for LinkedIn? Maybe, right? If you are primarily B2B, and this is where you're going to get those leads because I need to reach all the HR directors out there for my business, right? This is where you would do that, and it may be worthwhile to pay. You can try it out for a month. You get a 30-day free trial either on Premium or Navigator. Navigator, and they do give you one extra bonus to paying for it is what's called in mails or those direct messages that you can do. I don't have to be connected to you to send you a direct message. And you get like 15 per month in Premium or 50 per month in Navigator. So that might be something you want to pay for. More search filters on these than you do get on the free version. So you'd really have to try it out and see if it makes sense for your business to upgrade to one of these services. And you can see all the different features. So I wanted to go back real quick to let's see, I think it was Letitia. I'm trying to remember now what you do. I'm trying to go back because that's right, event planning, right? So I think it was just event planning. Do I have that right? So that would be one thing that would be a good crossover, right? So I'm just going back. Yes. Okay. Right. So I'm assuming you do event planning. So say if I have a birthday party for me personally, I don't know if you do wedding event planning. Let's just say a personal event, family reunion, or maybe, I don't know, a repast for a funeral, but personal events. But you also do, oh, rental and party transportation, right? But that would cross over because you probably do it for corporate as well. So if I have a business and I want to do a corporate event, you would do planning for that. So on the other platforms, social media platforms, you would talk about all the other personal events that you do. On LinkedIn, it'd be about the corporate events. Now, what you put on LinkedIn, totally appropriate for the other platforms, but not the other way around. Yes, we personally, we're people, and I'm a business owner. Yes, I have birthdays and family reunions and all birthday party, whatever, all the things, but it doesn't mean that those are appropriate to post over on LinkedIn. I'll find you. Oh, she does corporate events. Maybe she'll plan my kid's birthday party, right, as well, or whatever it is. So that would be a good crossover. I have clients that are, they sell baked goods, different types of treats and goods. On the other platforms, it's like the birthdays, they give them for gifts, etc. Buy them these delicious brownies for yourself. On LinkedIn, it's all about corporate gifting, holiday corporate gifting or give thank you gifts for your clients or whatever. Totally two different things. I had a not a advising client. She does hair. She's a hairstylist, and she said, "Well, my clientele are those women executives, right? CEOs, women in the C-suite. That's her demographic." So she thought, "Oh, well, LinkedIn would be appropriate for that because that's where you'd find them." But not necessarily. It's still a personal service. It's still a business to consumer service, unless there was some crossover, like if she did hair and makeup for corporate events or for corporate styling of some kind. If there was that kind of crossover, it would make sense. But just because your demographic is women who are in the C-suite doesn't mean that would still be appropriate to have, you put the hairstyles and different looks and stuff like that for really a consumer-based service. So it wouldn't be a good crossover. My solar power company that I have, he does commercial and residential solar. So everywhere else we talk residential, LinkedIn is about commercial. Sure, us, business owners and people, jobs, whatever, have homes potentially that need solar, but we still wouldn't put it on LinkedIn. So hopefully that makes sense with the crossovers on what would be appropriate or not appropriate for LinkedIn. And then, so going back, Jet, hashtags, right? So I realized I left it out even for LinkedIn. Yes, you do use hashtags on all the platforms. LinkedIn, since I'm here, is one place you would use them very sparingly, maybe up to 6 at the most. And they tend to be more, and I do have a full LinkedIn class too. So I do have more slides on the LinkedIn to explain it. But you would use them sparingly. It would just be very specific. Like if I'm doing a post about Facebook, I would put hashtag Facebook marketing, hashtag social media managers. That's who I'm targeting, and or hashtag for me, small business owners, and hashtag marketing, right? Would be some that I use, and my branded hashtag Golden State Marketing. On Instagram and Facebook, you can use on both. You can use more, right? Instagram up to 30. I think it's starting to trend to be a little bit less, right? And you have those Instagram specific hashtags I mentioned. Some of us might have those on there. So you still use them. Facebook, you can still use them as well. Twitter, etc. That's where they started is Instagram. I would say focus more on the actual content. Don't worry so much about hashtags and what you're using. I would say a lot of people just don't focus on putting good captions, having good images, and being consistent, right? So hashtags are good, but make sure the content is even better than what your hashtag game is, if that makes sense. So it'll be a little bit different for everybody on how that works, right? So let me just see if there are any questions before we go on. What if you're a one-person solo business like a writer? What would you, or so, whoops, would you just have a personal profile since there's not a business name? In that case, yeah, if you're a writer and that's your entire profile, that could be. If you don't have it as a business name for you don't like, so you just have, is it Reiko Porter, writer, author? I don't know what you would call yourself. So if it's very clear on your profile what you do and who you serve, then that's okay just to have a profile in that case. Yeah. Good question. Should your business info about me be uniform across all platforms? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's no reason that it shouldn't be different because again, going back to that, who do you serve? What are their problems, their pain points? What is your solutions? What their outcome? That should be across all your platforms and your website. Make sure your website, as soon as you come in there, it speaks to who you help, what you do. A lot of times I go to a website and I'm still scratching my head, like, what is it that they do? Who should be interested in this? Right. I help businesses reimagine their, I call it reimagine their websites to make sure they're speaking to their ideal clients and it's very clear that I go in there. I've had twice here in Los Angeles, if you're in the LA area, right? We have some big games coming our way. You can talk to Pace about that with Procure LA. We have FIFA here any moment, a couple months. Olympics coming in 2 years. Feels like it's going to be like next month, the Olympics will be here. We have a lot of big things happening here. All right, so very important that we're out there and we're promoting our businesses and doing all the things with these big events coming out here. So very important. So I was just going to say, so one of the big organizations out here they're doing everything but the Olympics. It's called the LA Sports and Entertainment Commission. So if you want to do business with FIFA, you want to do business with some of the other events other than the Olympics, you need to talk to LASIK, right? And so the head of LASIK, I've seen her say this twice at two different events about procurement, and she set up in the panels like the first thing she'll do is go look at your website and your social media, and if she doesn't know what you do and it's not up to par, she will not do business with you. So I was quite surprised to hear her say that twice, two different events, how important it is to have a clean website and social media to potentially do thousands or millions of dollars in business. So very important, right? So how to grow your social media. We're coming towards the almost done here. How to grow it, right? There's no magic miracle grow or anything. You have to just be very consistent, as I said, speak into your market, have that clear brand voice and identity, quality content, sharing your social media links everywhere. Make sure your website has all of your social media links. Check your website as we finish here. Make sure you have all of them on there. You're not missing any, and they all work. Click on all of them. Make sure they're going to the correct social media platform, right? Share it via email. So again, make sure you're doing all the things to grow it. And then content, right? So I'm going to go through this quickly because we're coming towards the end, is making sure that you take all of your content and recycle it, reuse it, I should say, across all the platforms. So this little journey map here is just a visual for you to see. There's no template for this. It's just for you to see how you can take one piece of content and turn it into multiple pieces of content. Okay. So taking that one blog post, sending it out via email, putting it across whatever social media platforms you have. You don't have to have all of these here. So you're hitting everybody everywhere, right? And being consistent across all your platforms, right? And as you're building your social media, make sure you're covering all of the bases. So you have content types and then content pillars, right? So your content types are those four buckets: educational, interactive, inspirational, and promotional, right? Selling your stuff and being consistent with all of these different types. And then pillars are different. Those are the different themes that your content's going to revolve around so that you cover all the bases in your content. Okay. So content pillars, if you're not familiar with them, I'm going to explain them here in a second. And this is the kind of the breakdown of how much content of each of these you should have. 10% promotional, and the balance should be a mix of those other three buckets. Okay. And then pillars, what they are, some examples of different businesses. Basically, you want to have consistent themes throughout the content that you place, right? Covering those four buckets. So this is a client that does the company culture, leadership building skills, employee retention. So here's 8, and you can have your AI tool, whatever AI tool, Claude, ChatGPT, etc. Ask them to create content pillars for you, and it will spit out, a handful of them. And here's 8. We choose 4 key pillars to do every single week, right? So he might pick leadership development, employee retention, in industry insights, and of course, one would be, of course, promoting his business here. And then he can sprinkle in the rest if he wants to do more content. Like he doesn't have testimonials every week, so that wouldn't be a strong top pillar, right? So some other examples. Here's one for wineries. They might pick wine education, events and tasting, promotions, right? Got to sell, and pairings and recipes. And then sprinkle in vineyard life and sustainability practices as they have that content. But we know every week we cover those 4 top pillars, right? A travel agency, right, could pick 4 top ones and then the rest are sprinkled in as they have content, but we're covering all the bases in those content buckets. And then nonprofits, right? You probably have all the same pillars, your impact stories, your volunteer donor spotlights, events and fundraisers, got to do money, and maybe community engagement. So pick your 4 top pillars out there. Okay. And then have a process in place to get this all done, right? So I do these 3 different kind of blocks of time, like your time to create your or plan your calendar out, create the content, and schedule it all out, right? If you don't have a process in place, right, it's going to get overwhelming, right? There's still a lot of work to do, but plan it out. I always plan a month ahead. So we work, where are we? Middle of the month, towards the end of the month now, 23rd. So we already finished May content. We're just at the tail end of it for me, for myself and my clients. They were reviewing it. We're doing the edits, and then we schedule it all out at the end of the month. So I don't have to worry like today's the 23rd. I don't know it's being posted. It was already scheduled out by the 1st of April, right? So work ahead to get all of this done. Okay. And then I have a content calendar. You can download it. There's the link there, goldenstatemarketing.net/calendar. And there is a 30-minute video on the welcome tab to show you how to use it. It's just a Google Sheets calendar, very simple. And you can sync up all your content on this. So your social media, email, blogs, your LinkedIn newsletter, and now text marketing is on there for 2026. So I encourage you to download, see if that works for you. Okay. And almost done. And then use tools like Canva out there to create your marketing materials. It does everything that you need to do. There's AI integrated with it. They have a lot of great updates. I just saw on the Canva Create conference they just had here in LA last week. So a lot of great features, easy to create all of your content here. Okay. And use a scheduling tool to plan out your content, to schedule it out. I use Metricool because I'm posting across multiple platforms. You can use Meta Business Suite, as I mentioned, if you're just using Facebook and Instagram, but use a scheduling tool to help you get everything planned ahead. Okay. And then, so final thoughts as we're just at the top of the hour here. So, is your social media built to perform or just exist? Right. So, ask yourself, do I know exactly who I'm trying to reach, where to best reach them, and what I want them to do? Can I explain my content plan in 1 sentence, right? With the pillars and how often and your calls to action? Can I realistically post consistently for the next 90 days? Do my posts look or sound like my brand, actually connect with my audience? Am I building relationships, not just posting? Do you track 2 to 3 metrics and adjust based on what's working? And if I'm doing it the same way now, where will you be in 6 months from now? So think about these things. If you want to talk to me about your social media marketing, ask any questions that I didn't answer here, you're all welcome to schedule a free call with me. Get 30 minutes to pick my brain. Just leave somebody for somebody else. So you can go to this QR code or go to callwithpatty.com to schedule time with me. So with that, I'll leave that there and I see if there's any last questions. Let's see. So I already asked if you're building a LinkedIn profile. I already answered that one. Should your business info be uniform? Yep, got that one. Yes. And yes, the slide deck will be sent to you from Pace with everything else. So I think that is it. I don't see any other questions. So I'll pass it back to Swan to finish up here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Patty.
You're welcome.
I would absolutely take advantage of that half an hours. Absolutely. You can't match that further. Thank you, Patty,
You're
for sharing
welcome.
such valuable social media essential tips and tricks. We truly appreciate your insight and your expertise. We also want to thank everybody in the audience for your participations, your engagement, and during these sessions. If you enjoyed today's webinar, which I believe we all did, we invite you to join us again next month, May 28th, for email marketing essential sessions. We look forward to seeing you next month. Absolutely. For those of you who would like to revisit today's discussion, as Patty said, the recording will be made available through our online e-library. I believe Veronica just shared the link earlier in the chat. If you are in a local business and would like more information about business loan or support services, please feel free to reach out to us. I previously shared Humana's contact information for any loan questions. Alternately, you also may reach out to me directly. I'm going to share my contact information on the chat. Thank you again for your participations and your continuous support. And thank you, Patty, for your valuable resources. Thank you, everybody. And you guys have a productive day. Let me go and send them my email. I'm going to stay around a little bit. Thank you.